have a flag?
Yeah, we don't have a flag in here.
We're going to do it metaphorically. So this is the Goffstown Budget Committee, and the date is December 9th, 2025. We are going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, even though there's no flag in this room. We're going to... Thank you, Brian. Brian's phone. Oh, there are.
Is there one in the wings?
Are there ones in the wings?
Doug, can you grab that?
I see a giant monster-like thing in the wings.
There's a flag. Those are umbrellas. I see it over here.
It's hidden somewhere.
Look in the back.
Well, we don't need to, like, tear apart the whole backstage area here. We're fine. We can do it. We are enough of patriots that we know what it looks like. All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. There we go, and it appears.
Put it right in front of the camera.
Magic.
All right, so we are going to start with a roll call. Rich, you can start, because Doug's technically not part of the committee.
Chris Sherrill?
Mark Lemay, Select Board Rep.
Allison DeCesare.
Olivia Welcher et al.
Jared Talbot, School Board Rep.
Elizabeth DeBrule.
Samantha Kearns.
Doug Pounds.
Brian Mazer?
Israel Carey.
Joe Alexander.
So,
Peter Grigorokakis.
sorry, Peter
From
Grigorokakis, and you have to say why you aren't here and if anybody else is in the room.
There's no one else in the room. I'm just still recovering from surgery. Hope to be back soon.
Okay, great. So Mark Renaud is not here, and James Piercy is excused, and I'm trying to remember if there's anybody else. Laura is running late, but she should be here. I think that's it. Okay. Is there anyone for public comment? Seeing none, we will move on. We're going to jump right back into school board.
Madam Chair, just because there were takeaways from last week or last meeting, is it appropriate to maybe bring
You wanna do
those up
those
and talk
first?
those first?
Sure. We did have some outstanding questions. Are you doing it, or is Doug
Oh, no,
doing
Doug
it?
is.
Okay.
So there were several questions in regards to health insurance, and in regards to actuals and budget, in particular for fiscal year '25. So if we go back to fiscal year '25, there was 14.2% increase budgeted for health insurance, and GMR came back at 9.3. So this by itself would have had a savings of $318,000 for all the lines for healthcare. So that, along with different enrollments from people who had left and the people who had come in, would have hit the remainder part of those savings that we see between the budget and the actual. There were some specific questions in regards to some lines as well. So it was, if we're looking at line 444, so reference, 444. And with that, that was special education Bartlett Health Insurance. And the question was, well, we have $211,000 budgeted in 2025 and $129,000 of actual spending in 2025. So that would have been made up from the GMR savings, which we just talked about, that 14.2% budgeted and 9.3% actual, as well as there were more single plans and opt-outs than planned for and less two-person plans. And then additionally, 5 of the 18 employees started after the start of the school year, which would result in fewer months being charged for the plans. So if we add up all of those things, that's why we're seeing a difference between 2025 actuals and 2025 budget.
Okay. So let me throw this open to questions in a minute, but I have one first. So when we did the 2025 budget, or the 2020, when we did the last previous budgets, we did not have real numbers for these health insurance,
For
right?
2025, you did not. For 2026, you did. And this year, looking at 2027, we do as well.
Okay.
So
So
20
we still are seeing this level of, so the 2026 budget, you're saying that was a real number?
That was a real number, just to verify? Yep, those real numbers, so that should be closer. Again, there's always going to be fluctuations between the plans that people choose.
Right. But so that we're still talking about a $30,000 increase between 2026 and 2020, no, yeah.
I think the original question, though, was if we look at prior year actuals, not just for this line, but there are other lines that were significantly lower. I think that's what Allison had brought up, where, we had $2,000 in a line, but it was budgeted at $50,000 as an example. Do we have any kind of explanation of why those actuals were so low, and our proposed budget has them at kind of that two-person insurance quote?
So two-person if it is vacant. Other than that, it's what they're actually taking this year. So what we do is anyone who's currently employed, no matter what plan they have, we carry that forward to next year. And then if it's a known vacant position going into next year, then that is at a two-person level. So everything is known as far as what people have elected this year, other than vacant positions. And it's just run off of that new number from the increase from health insurance.
Okay, Joe oh, you're done? Okay, Allison?
Can you give me the 2026 actuals so far this year?
For that budget line,
Right.
So remember, we're only a quarter into it.
I understand, but it's
Okay.
health insurance. It should be pretty consistent barring any changes.
Okay.
So I'm curious to know what the 2026 number so far has been.
This is when the singing would come in really handy, if anybody wants to sing.
Excuse me, Elizabeth, you didn't hear what I said before you walked in, so trust me when I tell you, it's not helpful. Big old saying there.
Brian, do you have something you want to say?
Yeah, just something to add as Doug's looking that up. I don't know if this is the case, but all of our health insurance isn't necessarily encumbered by this point in time. So we're happy to provide what the year-to-date is, if Doug can pull that up, but not all plans have necessarily been encumbered at this point, possibly.
so for the Bartlett Health Insurance for special ed, it has a budget of that $193,000. We have spent year-to-date $74,000. We have encumbrance of about $71,000, which would leave an available balance of $48,000.
I'm a little confused about the use of the word
Yeah,
encumbrance.
that's what I was going to say.
So
Normally, I think of encumbrance as being money encumbered after the budget year has technically ended, but it's, the expenses were incurred in that year that we just haven't received the bill yet.
No, so for us, encumbrances are known expenses that will happen between now and the end of the year. So what we know is that for everybody who is working within that budget line, we know their health insurance and we know the total cost for the year. So we have that encumbered for the year, and then every month that we pay health insurance, that encumbrance will go down and the actual expenses will go up.
Okay.
So
Allison?
that still gets you to 145,000. And again, I get that there's more time, but you're saying that you have an expense of 74, you have encumbered, so you know, and again, insurance is one of those things that is pretty consistent. I don't think this would be any different from the school than what I know from paying insurance anyway. Health insurance is the same amount every single month for employees, barring any changes, right? So that's where you come up with the idea that you have 71,000 encumbered through the end of fiscal year, we're talking, right? Or is that
Our
calendar
fiscal year.
Right.
So, yep.
So you still are saying you're getting up to 145,000 for 2026, barring changes. So how do you even get to, I mean, I guess that's still like 53,000 of play for 26, but my bigger thing is that we're jumping up another 30,000 in 2027.
I don't know if she has something to add.
Let's give her a chance to respond. Go ahead.
There are so many variables that go into this, and so we would have to look back to see who was in the budget when we started this process in September of '24 to plan for what the expenses were going to be in September of '25 to carry forward for the year. So we looked back for the detail on the FY '25 year, and we talked about the fact that we had more singles, less two persons, more opt-outs. We also had 5 individuals that started after the school year started, which means for every month of that, we weren't encumbering anything. There are other factors that go into it, whether it's leaves of absence, when people are on unpaid leave, when they've gone past FMLA time, they're then paying the full cost of their insurance. So to be able to drill down on every line with the health insurance and the people that are in it would take us hours to go through and look from every point in time that it happens in every month that it occurs. So Doug, do you know what month they are encumbered through as of right now? Because you have less encumbrances than actuals.
I don't know if it's October or November that they're, yeah.
And, you know, remember again, we were budgeting based on the people that we knew I start preparing the staffing budget in August. So in August of '24, we were planning for this fiscal year's budget, and the amount of changes that can happen during that year and a half time are pretty significant, whether it's plan changes, whether it's employees, whether it's their status. We have one unfilled position at Bartlett for a paraprofessional right now, so there's just a lot of variables that go into this.
Doug?
Yeah, but isn't that reflected in the actuals now? So as to Allison's point, wouldn't the actuals versus what Doug is saying is encumbered make sense? Then that would, what should be budgeted? Or?
In terms of thinking it should be more like 145 versus the budgeted
Yeah.
amount of the 225?
Yeah, and why would that be different? I mean, isn't next year an unknown?
So we based FY '27s on the staff that were employed as of August of 2025 for next year. So again, you know, if we need to go back and do that kind of analysis, looking at the encumbrances, the what's booked year to date, that's a lot of detail for every one of those lines and the movement that occurs within them. We budget based on the staff that are in it and 2-person plans for any vacancies that we have.
Joe?
This is not a question, it's more of a comment. I think Allison pulled a string there, and I think it's really important we talk about this as a committee, because this is probably in all of the benefits lines in all of the schools. It's likely that there's a little bit budgeted over. So it's important to, I think we need the analysis, but I also think I feel like we should just make a blanket cut, because we know that they're going to have all this. They had $3 million leftover dollars from last year, and I think a lot of it comes from the benefits lines and things like that, I think, by the data that Doug gave us. So I think that we should at least have a conversation as a committee that this might be a place to make a cut. We don't know exactly how much, but we can cut it just from the budget itself, and then they can figure out the logistics. But I think there's a significant amount of money in these lines that isn't being spent every year.
Jared had a comment first.
Well, Kate pretty much said it, that the budget process is how many FTEs that we have within our budget, which hasn't increased for many years now, and then looking at all of each individual, whether they're a teacher, whether they're a para, whether they're special ed, and saying, okay, we're budgeting or estimating that you're going to take a insurance plan of yourself and a significant other, and that's what we're using from our budgeting standpoint. And we were able to do that because we have the actual rates that have been provided to us by the state on what our insurance should be. So I think it's important to understand that's how the budget got here and why we're seeing a jump of X number of dollars that was mentioned before. I can understand the conversation around actuals from prior years and why there might be a discrepancy of, might be somebody that's retired, they're taking their spouse's benefit, they don't need an insurance plan. That person might not be employed anymore, might be, employed by a new individual that would have a family plan. So it is a crapshoot. I understand the volatility and I understand everybody's thoughts on this, but I just think it's important to understand how we came to what the proposed budget was, or the default budget was based on that scenario that Ms. McGrath just gave us.
Did you have a follow-up, Kate?
Yeah, and I think, can you hear me?
Speak up a little bit.
So just in addition to that, again, if we're going back to FY '25, at that point, we were not getting real rates at that point. We were getting what's called GMR from Health Trust. And so as Doug started the explanation of this, we estimated that we were going to have almost $319,000 in savings before anything else happened, because our rates came in, our final rates came in March of, sorry, I get lost with all of the different years. For FY '25, they came in, a difference between 14.2% and 9.3%. So if we're looking back to those 2 years, with the actuals and the budgeted amount, right off the bat, never mind all of the changes in staffing and plan changes that folks make based on life events that they have, as we go forward and we see more patterns or, analysis that we could rely on. But looking back at that year, that's a really hard year to look at when there was such a significant change in rates from the carrier.
Okay. Are there more comments or questions or discussion? Doug?
Yeah, just one quick one.
Hold on, Pete.
What's the open enrollment period?
Oh,
What date-wise for the school?
Yep, so our plans run July 1st to June 30th. Open enrollment occurs in May.
In May, okay,
Yep.
all right, so we're, okay.
Peter?
So there's going to be not really be a significant change between now and May. You wouldn't expect that then? Unless there's a life event, obviously.
Well, and staffing changes, so especially with our support staff, we do have turnover that occurs. And, even at Bartlett, that's the line we're looking at right now, through the start of the year, we've had a couple of shifts in paraprofessionals. So it's, there's a lot of different things that go into what impacts these numbers.
Okay, thank you.
Peter, did you have a comment?
Hey, I was just going to comment that I just want to double check. We are looking at reference line 444, right, initially on this?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I'm not necessarily seeing the huge volatility on other health insurance lines. I've kind of just gone through the spreadsheet and searched all other health insurance lines. It seems like, I'm not sure if Allison was the first person to ask about it, but it seems like that line in particular just seems to be historically underspent. I'm not necessarily seeing that as a crazy amount on the other lines as well. So I don't know if it's really something kind of overall or if it really should be keyed in on this line, is just what I'm noticing.
Okay. More comments, questions, discussion points on this line or related health insurance lines? Allison?
Can you explain to me again how you came up with the income, the actual, when I asked about so far this year, you said 74,000 and 71,000 encumbered. But if I understood your words, encumbered meant through the end of the year. You would encumber it because you knew it would be coming in. Is that correct?
We knew there was an expense. So
Right.
let's say we had 12 people within this line, and they took health insurance. We know to the penny at this point how much that health insurance is going to cost as long as they work throughout the end of the year.
Right.
So what we do is, at a certain point in the year, we encumber the rest of those expenses. So then our budget, when we look at how much money is left in our budget, it's already taken that from it. So encumbrances allow us to kind of see more how much money we have that isn't going to a known expense. So for this health insurance, we know to the penny how much it's going to cost, say, for those 12 people. We we expense it, but we also know the encumbrances, and the expenses and the encumbrances should always equal the known amount that it's going to cost.
Okay, but on that note, then you just said that was about 150,000 of known expense paid and encumbered, so, and for the 2026 year, and you have 193, so I see that it gets you to another 50,000 of possible changes? Is that what I'm understanding?
So 50,000 of the budget that we, at this point, we don't expect to use within this line.
So already, you're basically saying that barring any changes, the 2026 budget is over by, or number is over by 50,000. Again, I know you have to have a buffer, but it's, am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, and I think then the other point is then it also increases that line
Another-
by another 30,000.
30-plus thousand, yeah.
Yeah, for next year.
For next year.
So Doug, could I clarify? I thought you said that you weren't sure if the encumbrances were through October or November at this point, so we're only talking about 4 or 5 months out of the year, number one.
No, I apologize. The encumbrances are through the rest of the year. It's just whether we've paid through October or November is what I was referring to,
And so.
as far as what's being shown in e-finance.
So we've already spent 74,000,
Yes,
and the encumbrances are 71,000?
yes.
So how is that possible? If we've encumbered for the whole amount, but we've only paid Health Trust through probably, at this point, I would say October, and we've spent 71, or I can't remember which was which, 71,000.
So we're not halfway through the year, and
Yeah.
yet we've spent more than halfway of that line, so.
Yes.
That's your question, basically.
Yes.
Do we pay them quarterly?
No, we pay them
We don't
monthly.
pay them monthly.
We're going to pay them monthly.
Let's give Doug a minute to answer that.
So the- yeah, so
Okay,
the-
Jared wants to chime, oh, go ahead.
Do we have any open positions at Bartlett for this year that haven't been filled?
Yep, so,
And because we have those open positions, that means that we're not spending money on that health insurance and why we might be low?
yes, that's
Thank you.
accurate.
To do.
So the encumbrance we look at the bills and what's being paid every month, and then we multiply that out by the amount of months that are left over. So,
Okay, so we lost people at Bartlett between the first part of the year and the second part of the year? That's the only reason that that the encumbrance number would be lower than the actual number is if we had less people. Otherwise, it should be flipped, because we're not halfway through the year.
Madam Chair?
Yeah?
So one thing I'm noticing, I don't know if this has already come up, but, these health insurance lines obviously have the dental, life, and disability insurance right below all of those. And I'm going to assume there's a lot less volatility in those versus health insurance itself, because that cost can change significantly based off of how it's being utilized. However, it seems like the dental, life, and disability are coming in closer budgeted to actual year after year versus the health insurance line looking like it's underspent significantly. That's kind of the part that I don't understand. Like, if we can calculate it very well for dental, life, and disability, what's making it so much harder for the health insurance line?
Well, I think I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to say dental, disability, and what's life insurance, like those rates hardly ever change, or they change very incrementally, whereas health insurance is just a crapshoot, practically. Kate?
And it's less about the rates, because at this point, we have our rates, so we feel pretty good about the numbers that we've put into the budget. But when you're thinking about a dental plan, swinging from $500 to $1,000, when you're talking about health insurance, you're talking about it swinging from $0 to $25,000 per person. So you have two people who decide not to take insurance and hop on another plan, or, we've got a new staff member in there who opts out. We've got a $50,000 potential swing right off the bat. So while dental, life, LTD, those numbers are so much smaller in totality of what we spend on those premiums for the whole calendar year, health insurance is so much more significant. And so, it doesn't take more than a couple of people to really swing that number. And I think we hit another number at Maple that was over. So it just, our numbers are going to get much tighter and much better now that we're getting actual rates, that we don't get GMR and have to, have that volatility with the final rate coming out in March. So we feel really good about that. I think that's a good shift in how we're able to do our budgeting. But when it comes to health insurance, the fluctuation is significant based on the cost of a plan, depending on what coverage level an individual is taking.
Okay. Is there anything more on this line? I mean, I don't want to end discussion here, but I want to make sure we've kind of covered it, but we're not covering things that we already covered once.
Not on the line, but I think it's worth, I'd say there's a lot of lines that are over budgeted in the health insurance. I know, Peter, you said some, but I was looking through the lines too, and I see $1,000, thousands of dollars over on a couple other of the lines too. So I don't know if now is a good time to make a motion to do this, but.
Are you going to make a blanket motion?
Yeah.
Can you wait until?
You want me to wait?
Let us get through the other two schools.
Okay, and then I'm gonna make a blanket motion later to reduce the entire budget.
Okay.
Because it's a bottom line. There's extra money, there's $3 million extra money from last year to this year that I just haven't had a good explanation on why it's needed or where it is. So there's an over budget somewhere in this budget. I don't know where it is. So I'll be making a motion later in the evening, so just something to think about from everybody.
Okay, that will definitely require some serious discussion.
Yep.
So, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Doug?
Just one last comment, if I may.
Sure.
Madam Chair. Yeah, so based on last week's meeting, it was said that there were 18 individuals for line 444, and that's from the $193,704. That's roughly a little over $10,000 per person that's being spent on health insurance. So I'm assuming, is it a question, so if there's a +2 plan, does that literally double that amount that is paid out for that employee?
So it's not quite double. It's probably about 1.5 from single to 2-person, and then another factor for a family plan. So it doesn't go, 10, 20, 30.
So roughly, say 16,000 per, plan +2, and then family would be a few thousand more over that, or?
Yeah, I would say the +2 is probably low 20s, and the family is more like high 20s.
Yeah, but I just calculated just over $10,000 based on these numbers here for 2026. It was just over $10,000 per person, per employee. It was because the comment was made there were 18 individuals that were insured.
But not everybody takes the insurance, so
Not
we
everybody.
have individuals that do not take it. There is no opt-out,
Okay,
there's
so
no
that-
payment for that.
That 18 number doesn't represent the actuals here then?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
The actual enrollment.
Allison?
The other health insurance line we had talked about was 690, which is also the special ed, but at Maple Ave. And that's the one that went from 2,000 to 45. Is that the same explanation, do we think? Do we dig into that one a little more as to what that enormous jump was for? I know it's,
So that one has to do with switching of a staff from assistant principal to the, let me just find it. Just trying to Maple Ave Special Ed Assistant Principal. So if we look at line 688, and then we also look at 846. So if we look at those together, that's going to tell the story a little bit better. So if you look at line 846, we can see that the 24, 25, both budget and actuals were larger. And then we can see that for 846, that the 27 default is 90,000. So it pretty much got cut in half. So we have one area where it's going down, where we had 2 kind of assistant principals budgeted in there, and then what happened was that one was taken and moved more to the special ed line because they are more solely focusing at this point on special ed facilitating as kind of like an assistant principal role, but more specific to special ed. So that was one of the other questions from the other day. There was a question on 686, reference line 686, and that was that there, in many years, wasn't anything spent, and then there was 35,000 spent in 2025 actuals. Our belief is that a Keene was done wrong, and that should have been expensed to reference line 703. So if we look down at 703, it's the same thing. It's Maple Ave, it's special ed, it's paraprofessional salaries. And we can see that the actuals of 445,000 are definitely less than the budget of 598,000. So that 35,000 should have been expensed down to reference line 703. Again, there still would be a gap between the actual and the budget, and that is because this is paraprofessionals, and like other districts, we are having a hard time always filling all the paraprofessional positions. But that was just an expense line that got put to the wrong budget.
Okay.
And then we had a question on reference line 707, and that was how many positions are in that. So 707, I'm sorry, 709. 709 is special ed Maple Health Insurance, special ed insurance, and that is 30 positions are covered by this line. They're all paras and special education teachers. So the only other question that I had out there was in regards to the square scrub machine, which was answered during that meeting as well.
Okay, Joe?
Are we budgeting to pay our part-time paras health insurance?
So by the union contract, part-time is defined between 26 and 30 hours, and so they are eligible for health insurance, but at a reduced coverage rate by the district. Full-time employees have a higher percentage covered by the district, which is 30 or more hours.
Okay, do we know, so do we adjust the lines accordingly if they choose to take that coverage or not? In the same way as we do full-time?
Yes, so if there is a part-time position, it's budgeted at the rate the district pays for that part-time person. And vice
The health
versa.
insurance is?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, it's based on what they're eligible for and what that district contribution is.
What if they are, so if they're eligible or if they decide to take it? Do you do the same open enrollment or sort of, like, do you treat the part-time employees the same way as you do the full-time employees, in which you kind of ask them like what plan they're on, if they plan to continue it? Is it the same way, or are we budgeting blanket, like everybody's going to take out the plan?
So for every employee who's employed, when the budget is created, it is booked as what their plan is at that moment in time. If we have a vacant position that we're anticipating filling, it's booked as a two-person plan. That gives us the ability, depending on whether they go single or family. We don't know. We haven't hired them. We don't know what their election is going to be, so we budget a two-person only on vacancies. Otherwise, it's what their actual election is at that moment.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Are we ready to move on to Mountain View?
I have one motion before we go to Mountain View. I missed the meeting on last Thursday, but I want to reduce the school district treasurer line by $500, that stipend, because what happened is they reintroduced the stipend to $2,000, but we had previously been budgeted at $1,500, so they increased the stipend. They didn't just bring it back. So I'm not going to argue the point of if we should or should not pay the school district treasurer, but I just at least want to keep it what we had it before, and that's $1,500.
Okay. So you need a second?
Yes. It's $500.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Brian seconds. You already spoke to your motion, because
Yeah,
that was a very long motion.
Yeah, no, I want to make a motion to reduce that line by $500 because that's what we previously paid our treasurer.
It's line 255.
Thank you.
Okay, Brian, do you want to speak to your second?
No, I have no additional comments.
Okay. Further discussion on this?
500,
Allison?
Joe.
Is that line 254, Joe?
255, 250, yes.
4 and 5.
Well, no, it's 255 is a continuation of 254, I believe.
Right. But so it looks like in 2025, the actual was 2,000. But I see what your point, the budget was 1,500.
The budget was 1,500, yeah.
Discussion? Comments? Jared?
I just know that at the school board, when we talked about this and what was discussed, that we did give an additional $500 for that because of the work that the individual is doing. I think it was stated many times, the amount of work that they do, and just the necessity of the position and the audits that occur with it, because we all have Plodzik and Sanders come in, that we thought we'd keep it at 2,000. But I just want to let the board know what the thought process was from the school board on why we did put $2,000 in there.
Allison?
This is my line of work, that $2,000. First, I mean, I know this is not it's not a policy place, but I can't actually believe that that person is an elected official. Shocking to me that, because you have such a skill set that you need to be able to have to reconcile and be paying bills to the penny. You can't mess around with it. $2,000 by 26 weeks, that person's getting $76 every 2 weeks to go pay all of the bills for the school district and reconcile the bank account. That is almost nothing. So I don't think it should be changed.
Other comments?
I mean, I think we pay staff to do most of the work for the treasurer. I don't think the treasurer does all that work. I believe Doug would do it, and then the treasurer signs a piece of paper.
So multiple times per week, we communicate with the treasurer, and what they have to do is they have to go into TD Bank, and they're the only ones that can release the funds. So it's a timely thing as well, because if we say, hey, can you please release the funds this evening, and they don't release the funds this evening, then, then we're a day away from paying, where, Eversource is one of the ones that is quick to charge interest if you're late. So it is a multiple time a week with a budget that's about 55 million. So that's why it's different than some other towns where it's a smaller budget, but multiple times per week they're going in there. It's a timely position, and then it's, every month they're reconciling, and then every year they're also answering questions of Plodzik, including any extra questions from Plodzik. So it is something that we appreciate and something that we rely on a lot to make sure that we're paying the bills timely as well.
In my opinion, after hearing all this person has done, I mean, we talk about this a lot, I think they're underpaid at 2,000, frankly. And I am a little shocked it's an elected position as well. I don't know what you do if you get somebody who is not qualified.
I actually worked with Brian and Scott, and I tried to introduce a bill to allow for appointments, because it would be easier on the districts.
Yeah.
But it is state law that it's an elected position.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, okay, more discussion on this? Are we ready to vote?
All right, I'm just gonna, I know where my motion, I'll just pull my motion back. Nobody's gonna vote for it.
You know what, she already wrote it on her
wrote it down.
All right,
spreadsheet,
fine.
Joe.
Let's do a roll call.
All right, we have to do a roll call for Peter. So, Rich, you want to start again?
No.
No.
No?
No. Yeah.
No.
No. Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Peter?
No. And Joe, you don't lose points just for losing a vote, but it's okay.
Thank you, I appreciate it. You always know how to make me feel
1,
better.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's 3 in favor, 9 opposed, 1 abstention.
Okay, that's 13 of us, I think that's right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, yes, that's correct. Okay. Okay, so moving on then to Mountain View. Does anybody have a page number for us here? Hold on.
I had it.
Is it 37? Yes, 37. Questions, motions, points of discussion? Brian, sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Reference line 1132, general supplies. I see a new ask of 11,000 and change. And this might have been brought up, I'm not sure, but can you provide a little more context around that, what the additional general supplies is?
Yep, definitely. So no additional supplies. What it is that is the Cengage Big Ideas Math Consumables. So it's a math program that is used at the middle school. So this is the first time since adopting it that we've had to renegotiate a price. So typically when you buy a program, you negotiate for like 3 or 4 years, and they tend to give you a better deal that first time through. The good news about renegotiating is that typically it means that you like the program. So we are continuing with that program, but we're not under our first original contract anymore. So the price has gone up to kind of sign that second contract.
Samantha?
So does that mean that in 2028, it's also going to be roughly around 18,000?
Yeah, I don't know how long yes. Do you know how long the contract is?
Yes, we have a 3-year deal with them, and this program is for our 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. We're still under contract with our Math and U program that we use K through 5.
Joe?
Have we seen demonstrated increased math proficiency scores with this program?
So Joe, this is a program that we've actually had for quite some time, Big Ideas. I know Doug talked about the last time that we repurchased this. We actually did that through COVID monies that came through. We had a small extension. So I do think in looking at our assessment scores, you'll see we've kind of jumped around a little bit. And COVID did have something to do with that when you're looking pre-COVID and after COVID. We've had a significant amount of professional development that we've done around building thinking classrooms and working on making sure that our students are getting more inquiry skills in the area of mathematics. But the program itself is an evidence-based program that we're happy with. I also think in us moving to the Math and U program, which we just adopted 2 years ago, that program is built by the same authors as Big Ideas, where our old program was not. So I think we're going to see a lot more continuity, and I think our achievement's going to continue to increase because of that.
Okay,
Wendy, wait a second. I have a question for you. Go ahead.
This isn't necessarily a policy committee, but if we're paying for something and paying more for it now, I just want to make sure we're getting the value for it and the proficiency scores are going up.
So Joe, I think regardless of the program that we're looking at, and I do want to be clear that we are happy with this program, we've seen a lot of different curriculum resources. Prices have gone up over time for multiple different reasons. So we do a lot of shopping around when we're looking at products, but when we're happy with one, we do a lot of negotiating to try to get as many things for free. For example, in our Math and U program, we were able to get all of our teacher resources free of charge. So we're charged for some things for students, but we negotiate a lot of those things to try to get the most bang for our buck.
I agree with the sentiment, Joe, that we should be looking at this, but I'm really hesitant to think that you can do a one-to-one equation of the math program and math scores, because there's so many factors that go into those scores that at the end of the day, I know you're looking at me skeptically, but if the historian in me is saying there is no such thing as a single cause for anything.
Right, but if you're buying a math program and scores are going down, maybe you should think about
Fair enough.
why we're paying for a math program or that specific one. So
my question, Wendy, is do you guys, before you reissued your contract or renegotiated your contract, did you do a survey of this math program, like an evaluation of this math program, and you look at other programs?
So it depends on the situation and how long we've been with the product, to be honest with you, Elizabeth, because again, we're taking a lot of those factors into it. What has our turnover rate been? Have we had a lot of professional development to make sure that we are making sure that our staff are able to use that program? I'll be honest with you, there is no perfect program out there for any subject. There isn't. There are going to be pieces that we might have to do some supplementing for, but we look at the root cause. And when you're looking at, for example, just New Hampshire SAS scores, that's one moment in time. So what we're also looking at is our local assessments, our NWEA. Also, we look at our IXL data, which is a program that we use that really is focused for individual students and what they need in raising those. So we use a lot more than just the one data point, though I do know that that one data point is very front-facing for the community to show that achievement is rising.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any more questions on that? Laura?
I just have a comment, actually. I just want to say that regardless, we can't not have a math program. So if it's not this one, it's going to be money for another one. So like what you said, there's a lot of factors, but we teach math, we need a program, so.
Well,
Okay.
I see 43% proficiency at the middle school in math.
Okay. Any other questions? Joe, we can talk afterwards about why standardized testing is such a flawed way to evaluate student performance. But
I never
anyways,
did well on a standardized test.
I know lots of people who are very smart who never do well on standardized tests. Allison? Sorry. Olivia?
On line, sorry, I just lost my place. 1139, I know we went over what the technical programs equipment rental is, and I don't remember what it is.
So for 1139, that is broken down to multiple things. One is a laptop lease, so that has an increase of 15,000. So the majority of the new spend is in regards to the laptop lease. So like the other schools, the middle school is not a one-to-one school. So as we see other schools who might have one-to-one, obviously we're expecting that those schools carry a greater cost. But what we've tried to do is get the middle school up to a one cart per team. So instead of trying to make sure that they're kind of coordinated amongst the whole school who has access to a computer on a certain day or a certain couple days, they have at least one cart per team. Now, a lot of times that one cart per team, though, is leaving that team when it comes to testing, because at the middle school, all 4 grade levels of those are tested for the state testing and then obviously for internal testing as well. So laptop lease is the majority of that at 85,000. Then we go into kind of copier, with that being the maintenance, the print of it, the ink of it, the lease of the machines, and then the software that allows us to kind of print from the computers to the copiers, and that is the remainder of that amount.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions for O'Brien?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Reference line 1143, the replacement equipment. Could you share again what that is? And is that a one-time expense as well?
So along with the cards, the middle school has 4 computer labs. And about 5 years ago, they received each of these labs for free from the National Guard. So all of the labs are about 10 years or older at this point. So what it's looking to do is just kind of start a cycle where we replace a computer lab at this point, knowing that each of those 4 labs are over 10 years of age.
Okay, so as a follow-up, would that come FY '28, that expense would not be there?
I believe our goal is to do 4 years in a row, Steve, or?
We have 4 physical computer labs at Mountain View, and then I have the equivalent of 2 labs worth of computers dispersed throughout the building. The goal is to get us on a 6-year replacement cycle. 6 years for a desktop is pretty good. Right now, Mountain View's desktops span between 7 years and 16 years. So the plan is to get the number in there and have a recurring, predictable replacement cycle for that building.
Okay.
So one of our pushes this year is to kind of spend a little bit more in IT, knowing the age of the equipment, being both what students use, but also on the back end as well. And here's one of those examples, trying to replace, in this case, equipment that's over 10 years old.
Okay, thank you. And so to make sure I'm clear, so come FY '28, there'd be another 25,000 in there to help with that recycling?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Laura, did you have your hand up? Okay. Okay, ready to turn the page? 38 and 39. Okay, we're going to keep going. 40 and 41. Okay, let's keep going. I'm not trying to rush anybody, but hopefully you've already got your lines marked that you wanted to flag and talk about. 42 and 43. Next page, 44, 45. '46, 47. And we end about midway down page 47 before we move on to the high school. So I'm going to give you guys another minute or two to just keep looking, and then we're going to move on. Oh, okay. I'm like, is this someone showing up for public comment? How exciting. Last call on Mountain View. Brian.
Oh, go ahead,
Brian,
sorry.
no, go ahead.
Yeah, going back to page 44, reference line 1355. It's principal assistant, principal salary. I guess my assumption, that's probably 2 FTEs in that?
I think that's.
Yeah, I was going to say 3.
Okay.
So that's like a dean of students?
Yeah, I think it's the dean of students, the assistant principal, and the curriculum
Coordinator,
coordinator
yeah.
associated
Okay.
with that school.
All right,
Yes, okay.
thank you.
I have a question. Back on
Samantha?
page 40, I'm gonna make sure I can,
Hit the reverse.
line 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4, I love
know.
that.
We have a new of $2,500. I just don't see it on the noteworthy changes from the slide.
I believe that's co-curriculars for the theater program.
At the middle
For the
school?
rights to the music
middle
and
school.
the,
That is correct, yeah, that's for the summer musical supplies as well as musical rights. So that had been a program which had been run through grants, but the grant is more for newer type of programs. So at some point, it would have to go to the regular budget. So what that also allows is, it's a nice transition for middle school students because they come up to the high school, they work with high schoolers, they're in the building here, and they have a chance to kind of already have a comfortable spot here as well. So not only do they get to kind of take part in something that they appreciate, and they can kind of grow their talents, but they're also looking at the high school at the same time.
Rich?
I'll bring us back to page 47.
Getting whiplash here.
1428, you have 7,500 new proposed. Tell me a little bit more about the MVMS grounds maintenance increase.
Yep, so the majority, or pretty much the whole part of that 7,500 is going towards mowing the hills. So as you come up to the middle school, you know, it's built into a hill. Some of it is fields, you know, which you can typically see that are mowed, but part of it is brush, grass, small trees. So it's to make sure that all of that is knocked down at least once a year. So it's a large spot that this would contain as you kind of in between the parking lots as well as past the middle school as well. But it's to make sure that all of that is at least cut down once a year.
Have we not been doing that? Because the hill's not new.
The hill is not new, and it has looked good now because we have done it, I think, 4 years in a row. It just hasn't been necessarily part of the budget. We've been finding money to do it.
I guess that begs the question of why can't we continue to find the money to do it?
Or what lines did that get pulled out of previously to cover it?
It would have been pulled out of just other maintenance lines within the middle school.
Was end of the year funding
So that isn't on the mic, but the response from Randy was end of the year funding, correct? If I heard you correctly? Okay. Joe?
I don't know what reference line, but I'll motion to reduce that by $7,500.
It's reference line 1428. And is there a second?
Second.
Okay, did you get that? Hold on.
No, I haven't.
1428,
Reduce
reduced by 7,500.
1428 by 7,500.
Made by Joe, seconded by Izzy.
And Izzy.
Okay, do you want to speak to your motion?
No, I think they've found money in the maintenance lines, and I don't think that this is any different, so.
Okay, Izzy?
I think Rich hit it on the head with,
Yep.
we've been doing it already.
Okay. More discussion? Jared?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think this goes to one of the principles this budget committee has asked, or previous budget committees have asked, making sure that we budget the right lines to do the right work. And what we heard was, we had some money left over, nickel and dimes and a few other lines. We did the work with that. Taking the philosophy that the budget committee has put forward in prior iterations, we want to make sure that we aligned it to the correct line. That's what we did with this budget, and that's why that money is there, knowing that this is the budget, this is the funds that would be going towards that work, and hopefully, you know, as other things, if we do have an unreserved fund balance, that of course the school cannot keep and return to the taxpayers the following year. So I'll be voting no based on this information and the thought process of previous budget committees.
Rich?
Then between line 1413 and 1428, because 1413 is MVMS building and grounds maintenance.
Good question.
Which also has an increase.
So 1413 is more inside of the building. So there's no, some of these lines you can see, you could kind of put money in multiple spots. I believe I talked about it last time too. The last time that the state looked at the chart of accounts or the OR codes was 1999. That's what all towns are still following off of. But right now they are going through a process of redoing the OR codes, and then we'll have a new list that we can go off of, which hopefully will be kind of helpful, because as you can notice at times that things could almost go in two spots. So what we try to do though is we try to be consistent. So if we look at 1413, you can see that's more inside of the building. And then as we go down to 1428, that is more outside of the building.
Further comments?
I guess.
Samantha?
I see the value of cutting something aesthetic, but then I also realize that people, and I would argue that especially middle school aged people, respect something and treat it nicer when it looks nicer. And so keeping that space mode, will probably make them respect their school space a little bit better.
Laura and then Joe.
Thank you. I agree with that point, but I'm not sure it's the point here with the cut. I think the point of the cut here was, well, they're finding it other places other years. Why can't they just find it another place this year? But going back, at least since I've been on the committee, which I know isn't a super long time, but a couple years now, we've been asking to be clear about where money's being spent. So, I mean, I know how the budget works. If at the end of budget season you do have a little extra, you're like, okay, I mean, not extra, but things that you didn't have to spend out with maintenance or things that had to be done, but you had to budget for. You're like, oh, okay, we actually can mow that now because we have that funds to do it. This is just showing we are planning to do it with these funds. And I think as a committee, whether we want to cut it or not, whatever, but I think as a committee, as far as showing it, they're doing what we've asked, but sort of along with that comes the fact that it looks like things are changing, but it's because they are, because they're trying to be clear about it.
Can I just respond? I mean, if, to support Laura's point, like in 2025, we've budgeted 21,300. The 2025 actual is 31,000. So that line is currently overspent. I mean, it just supports to keep that line the same so that we're not making as many budget transfers.
Joe, you were up next.
Randy, are you going to mow the hill even if the money's not in there?
Well, I'll say, Joe, that this isn't just aesthetics. There's a lot that went into this. It's the number of animals that harbor up into this section of the property right up close to the building, and just it's a place of safety that it opens it up so you don't have people hiding in the woods there or hanging out in those woods there. To do it, I would say to you, I'm unclear. I don't know. I can't answer that because
It's also poison sumac.
yeah, there is poison sumac in there, so it is also a measure to control the weed control that is in there. Like I said, the poison sumac and the stuff that's in there as well. And again, it is a clear visual from the road. You can see the building. So it's aesthetics, yes, but it's also a big safety factor to have that cut down so you have those visual effects that you can see as you're approaching the building. You can see the building. You can see the hill. You can see what's in the hill, what's on the hill. Before, where there was a lot of tree growth there that you couldn't see the building, and there was just a lot of wildlife that was hanging out in there that could come running out at any time during the day. And there's a number of kids throughout the day that are walking around the building for PE and stuff that are walking in and along that area as well, that the safety factor for them to making sure that nothing's coming out of those woods while they're out there walking.
Any further discussion? Okay. Joe, you can start us voting on our roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes? Yes?
No.
Yes.
No.
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 No. Peter?
Still here? No.
Glad you're still there.
Thank you, Jared.
So that's 5 in favor, 8 noes, and 1 abstention.
Okay. Additional motions, discussions? Rich?
Do we have any way of tracking what the line item transfers are to cover additional expenses on lines that don't have the budget for it?
You'd have to ask that one to Doug.
So, as been mentioned multiple times, it's a bottom line budget, so not every budget line that goes in the negative do we do a line transfer for. It's more of that understanding where we are in the total budget. But there have been, when there are transfers, it is part of the board minutes.
Didn't you say that's all online too, on the district page?
The
all the line
town,
transfers?
the town has it online for their transfers. I believe by statute they need to. We do not, I believe at this point, have our transfers online, other than in the board minutes.
Okay.
We have regular documents that go out, but that's what we're talking about, the board minutes. So we'll kind of articulate in a sheet, and that's put in the minutes itself.
Okay.
So it's not a central location to kind of look at just budget transfers. It would be looking at all the meeting minutes associated with all documents.
Okay. Okay. Anything else on Mountain View? Okay, then moving on to the high school. Line 1442 is the first line, and page 47.
Madam Chair, do you mind if I interject with a question for Doug?
Sure. I mean, no, I don't
I just
mind.
know that it's going to come up because Joe has already talked about probably wanting to make a blanket motion later. So I'm hoping we could possibly get this information for our discussion later tonight. Doug, is it at all possible for you to try to get together the total spend and encumbrances for health insurance for this year? So we can kind of add that up. I've tried to add up everything else. I just want to be able to utilize that when we have that discussion later.
Yes, I mean, I could get that. It would take a couple minutes.
Perfect. Yeah, we don't need it now. I just wanted to give you like a head start because I have a feeling we'll need that later. That's all.
We do have another night booked for the school, by the way, December 18th, just if we need it. And why we're asking
Why
for...
are you trying to make this work more?
I'm not. I'm just saying, and I do actually have a question for Doug along those same lines, since you threw that out there, Peter. I'm curious about how much money the school district has given back to the voters at the end of the year for maybe the last 4 or 5 years.
Perfect. Yeah.
Given back, how much money they've given back, or how much money has been spent of the total budget? Like, what the delta was, because I'd say like maybe they gave back more one year than the other, because they might have spent
can't
it
hold
later.
it. They
No,
can't.
but they might have spent more at the end of the year, one year than another year. So I feel like what we should ask is, what is the spend
Delta?
up until, yeah, like Bill.
Yeah, I feel like
Okay,
that's the same thing.
maybe-
I mean, I'm expecting like he's going to say, well, this year we didn't spend 1.8 million, and this year we didn't spend 2.5 million, and this year we didn't spend
Okay.
$500,000.
Yeah, that's fine. All right.
I'm trying to like get this into relative terms so that I have a better feeling of where we are. If you have a different question, you can always.
I don't think so, no.
Okay. Okay. Back to the high school. Flipping the page, 48, 49.
I'm gonna bring us back to 47. The 1456 technical programs equipment rental, I don't, it's 11,750, and I just don't see that on here. Unless I'm just not reading.
So that goes again back to kind of the laptop leases and the copiers. So we had an increase of the laptop lease of 15,000, but as we look to match the copiers to actuals, I believe this was the one school where we were able to come down in our budget for that.
Okay.
So that's
I'm like
why-
looking for 11,750 on these slides, and it's 15,000 on the slide, and that's
Okay.
why.
Yep, that's
I'm
why.
like, I don't see it, because it got smaller. Great job, guys.
48 and 49?
Come on. Oh my goodness.
$50 and $51. We've got that big jump for the vocational tuition, which we talked about at some length during the presentations. $52, $53. $54, $55. $56, $57. $58, $59.
I have a question.
Okay.
Line 1798, I realize that's electricity. I realize there's not really a whole lot that we can do in the increase in that, but I thought that we were getting more energy efficient lights. I thought that, is this just because the rate has increased? That it's canceled out the energy efficiency of the lights?
Just because I know Doug's working on some items, the notes in this one is to match actuals, so the actuals, between 24 and 25 came down a little bit, and we are using more electricity at the schools, and we're trying to hold steady on that. But that actual increase of $25,205, that is trying to just match the actuals of the years that have occurred. Because remember, the lighting project was done a few years ago at this point.
Well, I mean, you've got a pretty big bump here, right? 2023 actuals are 140, then you bump up to, in 2024 to 173, then you're down to 169. I mean, you're holding at 169, and then in 2025, you drop to 143. I guess, I mean, that is a valid question, right? I mean, we're putting all this money into these energy efficiencies. Yeah, the rates are going up a little bit. Are they going up that much?
I can't really answer about the energy efficiency. I can just say that that's matched to the 2025 actuals, knowing kind of where the electrical rates are, and they're relatively kind of equal moving forward to that next year. So as far as the efficiency, I don't have information on that.
Okay. Do you have anything else you want to add? No?
I think it's been answered. I mean, from a budget number, it's chasing the actuals, which I think is what we'd want to try to do. You know, how much money we've saved for being able to do some of these lighting projects and, you know, heating projects and HVAC projects. You know, it's always a forecast.
Okay. Brian?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So one of my questions is, if 2024 actuals was 173,000, if that money wasn't budgeted, where that money's, was that a transfer to pay that? Because you wouldn't have been overspent, most likely.
I'm not quite sure. Can you tell me what reference line we're on again?
The same one. The
1798.
1798.
Good year.
So you're asking for an increase to be in line with actuals, but in 24, you had 173,000, so if you overspent, did you do a transfer at that point?
So again, if we overspend something like electricity, we're not necessarily doing a transfer just because we know we have to pay for it. But if we overspent electricity, we overspent electricity. We got to keep it lit here, you know, for the building, and we need electricity to run the school. So sometimes we're going to overspend. It's never easy to predict electricity, propane use, especially multiple years out. But, you know, we're looking to do our best. You'll see that in other areas, like propane has gone down in the budget. Here, I think, was one of the larger increases for energy. If you look at propane and electricity in the budget, and that would be at the high school. But again, what I was looking to do for all of it was to match the most recent actuals to some extent.
Right. Okay.
So.
Thank you.
Additional questions for the high school? Oh, Rich, sorry.
Thank you. Line 1802, what is, I mean, what's this line? It seems to be a highly variable line, with one year being 27,000, another being $592, and now 4,000 for 27. Seems like it's
I'm sorry, could you give me the line number again?
1802.
1802, which is operations of the building. So again, now we're inside the building and new equipment for the high school. And that is new equipment for the floor, so cleaning of the floor, and that is an additional 4,000. And that's why sometimes you'll see it kind of have no real budget and sometimes more of a budget as things age, and we know that we need new equipment. We put in for that, and that's what the facilities is looking to occur this year. So it's new floor equipment.
So is that like the square
I
scrub
think it's a
thing?
square scrubber this time.
This could be a number of things. This could be the wet dry vacs that we use when we're refinishing the floors to get the water and the solution up off the floor. It's vacuums. We use commercial vacuums, so they're not cheap. So it is a continuous replacement of vacuums, and it's the materials or the equipment that we use to maintain the quality of the building with the floors.
Thank you.
Laura?
Thank you. So much like I asked the other night about the square cleaning thing, so is this 4,000 earmarked for something specific, or just because you know that you might need a thing?
It's non-specific. Sorry, I have to repeat that for the microphone. Anything else for the high school? Okay, so we will close the high school. We're going to take a 10-minute break because I want to give Doug enough time to get his information together and come back to us, because I know we're going to have another motion, and I want to make sure we have good data or good information to work off of. So 10-minute break. Everybody be back here like 7:33.
You can see that?
Yes, I can see
wow.
that. 7:33.
Somebody doesn't need glasses.
Well, I do for
That,
reading.
I do.
I can't read my spreadsheet without my glasses.
Just a reminder, mics are on.
Yes, mics are on. Izzy, are we on? We are on. Okay, we are back from our break. Joe, do you want to make your motion, or do you want to have a discussion?
Well, I can kick it off if you want.
Go ahead.
Never. All right. I'm going to make a motion to reduce the total budget of the SAU 19 district from $56,213,215 to $55,463,215. So that is a $750,000 reduction.
Do you have a point of order?
Yeah, I do. You cannot make a motion on an SAU, because you did say SAU.
I'm sorry, this Goffstown School District. Let me rephrase.
Okay. So, is there a second? Before we go any further, is there a second?
Else, oh, okay.
Laura seconds.
But I'd like to hear what Doug
Yeah,
Well,
has.
wait,
no, I'm
Joe
just-
gets to speak to it, you get to speak to it, and then we can get some information.
I'm going to hold off on speaking to it until we hear from Doug. I do want to know some information, but I'm pretty confident that this is necessary.
Okay.
So I'll wait.
So, now that we have a motion on the floor, Doug can answer questions, can't advocate at all, Doug, okay? You just got to be straight up answers.
I can do that.
Okay. Laura, did you want to speak to your motion, or you want to hear what Doug has to say? Okay. Let's hear what Doug has to say.
So in regards to how much money was used to not give back to taxes, but to, because we don't give money back, but in
Right.
lieu of taxes type of thing. So as.
How much was the budget underspent? Is that a better way to put it?
Close. How much was it underspent and how much was revenues more than expected? Because it's those two parts that we look at
Right.
that will have our gap.
Okay.
So as we look at how much more revenue we brought in than we budgeted for, and how much less expenses we had than we budgeted for, in 2025, that was a little over 2.5 million. 2024, 1.98 million. 2023, 2.6 million. 2022, 2.8 million. I chose not to go further back from that because then we're getting more into COVID years, which is always going to be skewed.
Yes, good call. Okay.
That's a lot.
2025, okay. Was there more information that we asked from him? I feel like Peter had a question.
Yes, I was asking for if we could get the number year-to-date spend on health insurance / encumbrances for 2026.
So for 2026, so what we have a budget of 6.993 million for health insurance. And as of right now, if we take our expenses and then we add that to our encumbrances and we deduct that from that, how much do we expect to have left over as of now is $634,906. But we do have some positions that are unfilled, which would go into that amount. And we do have some positions, especially some of our like more speech OT, that are unfilled. And then we've had to bring in private services to do that. And we have not made yet those transfers yet of money from kind of where they would be in our own budgeted positions to professional services at this point. So part of that balance of $634,000 will be used to pay for positions that we couldn't hire from our own job application, so we had to go out to outside agencies, and then still some positions that we haven't hired.
Izzy?
I thought you budgeted a two-person plan for all vacant positions.
We do, but now we're looking more at actuals. So we have, the budget is that 7 million, a little less than 7 million, but as far as what we're looking at, as far as expenses, are known expenses, and encumbrances are known encumbrances that they're adding up to the bills that we will be paying this year. So we're gone from the budgeting part to more of the actual part at this point.
Sam?
So I realize they probably don't do like paraprofessional staffing agencies. That's not something that you would end up using. Maybe OTs a bit. If you couldn't hire somebody for speech pathology, for example, and you had to seek out a new speech pathologist, you would budget transfer, like in the line of contracted services, where that money would come from would be the speech language salary line, as well as their two-person plan insurance line to cover, because I'm assuming a contracted service is going to be more expensive than what we would regularly pay them.
That is correct. A contracted
higher
service is pretty much always going to be more expensive. So what we do is we would take the salary line, we take the dental line, the medical line, the tax line. So we take as many lines as we can and we transfer that over to cover it. Now, sometimes it would be the two-person, but if that person, if we had a speech person in and we made the budget going into the following year, because again, we're budgeting 18 months ahead sometimes, and that person left, what would be in their budget would be what they had left at. So they might have left at no plan, they might have left at a two-person plan, or they might have left at a family plan. So if it's a known vacancy, it would be budgeted as a two-person plan. But if it was a filled position where a person then left over the summer, then it would have been budgeted at whatever they had in that last year that they were employed.
How many known vacancies do we have?
As far as known vacancies, we don't have a lot, but we do have several that we have now contracted out.
Doug?
Just,
Hold on.
do you know the answer to that? How many known vacancies?
So right now, we have 7 paraprofessionals, 8, 2 RBTs, and then six teachers.
6 teachers?
6 teachers.
Full-time teachers?
1 is part-time.
Okay.
Some of those, again, are filled by contracted service providers, so, they're vacant for staffing, and they've been replaced by contracted services.
Okay. Doug, you had...
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I didn't quite get the numbers. So the actuals to date, the encumbrance and the total budget, can I get those numbers again?
So the total budget is $6,993,245.
6 million, I'm sorry.
That's $6,993,245. The expenses year-to-date, $2,900,709, and then there's some change.
And the encumbrance?
$3,457,628.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, Doug, could you say the last number again, the encumbrances?
$3,457,628.
Thank you.
Further discussion?
This is easy for me. 2.8 million extra 2022, 2.6 in 2023, 1.9 in 2024, 2.5 in 2025. It's clearly consistently we are over our budget. I don't know where it's coming in particular. That's why I think a reduction of 750,000. I think Allison really give her a lot of credit because she pulled that string and we got to, that's probably part of it. So I see 2.5, 750,000 is probably low. I'd like to go higher, but I also know the reality of, who I'm sitting with, so.
Jared?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just as a reminder, this is the fund balance at the end of the year, and this is comprised of an underspend of the budget, which is sometimes a good thing, but it's also an over-collection of revenue. And I use revenue as, again, it's taxes. It's grants that we get, It's money that comes in from New Boston. This year, I think we actually have to send money back to New Boston because we have more of a population than they do. So yes, I would say this has been a good job from our administrators because they're finding additional credits that we can get through federal grants or state grants or other grants that can then lower our taxes. The good and bad thing about the school is we can't hold on to the money. At the end of the year, we release it back to the town and, it goes to offset taxes. So even though that we might have had 2.5 million last year, 1.98 the year before, that was a reduction in taxes that didn't need to be raised because we were able to find that money, get additional money from other sources and offset the tax rate. So, whether this passes or not, just remember, if there is money left over at the end, this does go back to the town to offset taxes. And so we can't hold on to it in a special account. I think 9 years ago, when we found that $9.8 million, that was an anomaly, and thank God we get audited all the time, and that's one of the reasons why I ran for the school board. But this money does go back to the taxpayers regardless if we didn't spend it at the end of the year.
Laura?
Yeah, I'll speak since I seconded it especially, and although I do hear that and respect that, and I take that serious, that is a real thing that people need to know happens, it still doesn't quite add up to me. Going through line by line, it's not in new spending. I don't know where it's coming from, but that's still far too much. I'd rather be proactive and not have that extra to hand back. I'd rather not collect it in the first place. I think that makes more sense to voters, even though maybe to us sitting at this table, it does make sense that it does in fact go back in a way. I think that's kind of the opposite way we should be handling it. And I don't agree with Joe lightly, so I just want to throw that out there.
Yes, I'm waiting for the light bolt of lightning to strike the auditorium.
I'm waiting for it too.
More comments, questions on this?
I have another comment.
Okay, Peter.
Thank God I was on mute when Laura said. No, I actually do have a comment. I honestly agree with it, where everyone's kind of coming from. I think there's somewhere where we need to land on this. I'm specifically thinking about the insurance. I know Joe made the motion as like a blanketed thing. I'm not sure if it should be changed. But while I do appreciate where Jared's coming from, I definitely side with Laura on this, that like, hey, if we can keep from like over collecting, at least by an amount that's helpful to people. It helps people. It means that they don't have to budget to pay as much in 1 year, even if they're, it's reducing their taxes next year. To me, I'm not quite landing at 750 when I looked at it and I heard Doug's remarks. But I think, I'm not sure what we should do going forward. I would potentially motion to amend it or whatever it is what we're supposed to do. I know you guys don't like doing that, but I would maybe want to amend Joe's motion.
Well, Peter, sorry, Madam Chair.
Go
Peter,
ahead.
what's the number you're thinking?
I am, after hearing from Doug, I was thinking we should be trying, based off the information we're getting, it's the actual information we're getting, right, about health insurance, I think we should be reducing it by about $500,000, which I don't say lightly.
Okay, so I'm going to pull back my motion and then make another motion to reduce it by $500,000 instead of 750.
Laura, do you agree?
Okay,
You have
I agree
a
with
second,
that.
so you have to.
I would definitely want to make sure we keep on discussing it and make sure everyone else kind of understands, where I'm coming from and where different people are coming from. But I think it's the right thing to do here.
Okay, so Laura,
So do I have to second that?
you have to agree. You have to agree to allow the motion to be pulled back. Or it goes forward and we either amend it or we defeat it and do a new motion.
Okay,
So it's somewhat procedural.
right. So the things I'm thinking about why I'm pausing right now is because I do think this does have something to do with benefits and insurance. So I was kind of just in my head thinking like, okay, I guess we just do a blanket, whether it's 500, whether it's 750, whether it's another number, we do the blanket and then we trust the people to take it from where they can and where they should to prioritize? Or do we make the motion more specific?
Targeted?
But yeah, but then again, knowing that it's bottom line and they may have
can't
to move
force
things.
them.
Right.
Yeah,
So
so-
that's what I was thinking and why I was pausing, honestly. I just wanted to put that out there.
Well, but we do make motions on specific
Right.
lines, and so otherwise, I mean, we would just walk in here, make one big motion,
And be
and walk
done.
out. And
Right.
that, in my opinion, that would not be doing our job.
So I'd like to actually, I don't know if we can procedurally discuss that.
Well, you have to decide if you want to continue with this motion or not. And I guess the question you should really be asking yourself is, do you think you have the support for a $750,000 reduction at this table?
I almost think I do, but.
I'll vote for 752, I don't care.
Well, okay.
So if I say, now I've confused myself about the motions. So I
I
either.
think Joe's hope is that we were
I'm
just going to make this
trying to get
cleaner.
a
He's trying to make this a
consensus
clean.
of the committee, but.
Right, so we don't
if
keep
the
it clean.
consensus is 750, I'll make the motion for 750. If the consensus is 500, I'll make it for 500.
I'm not going 750, I'll tell you right now.
Okay.
I'll agree with this then, and I'd like discussion. I'll agree with
Okay.
the 500 and I'd like discussion.
Okay, so we're going to pull back the motion. I'm sorry, Sam.
okay. I'm just gonna
Cross
scratch it
out her
out.
spreadsheet
I'm
is
just
now
gonna
messed
scratch it
up.
out a little.
Okay, so now there is no motion on the floor. If there wants to be another motion, somebody has to propose it.
All right. I make the motion to reduce the Goffstown School District budget by $500,000.
I will second.
Okay. So you're not going with a specific,
Well, I still want to discuss.
all right, then, no motion, no motion. We're going to pretend that didn't happen.
Okay.
Let's discuss first whether we want a specific motion or a blanket motion.
Okay.
Okay?
I wasn't
And
sure
then-
the order in which we had to.
Then we'll decide where we go.
Okay.
Sam and then Joe.
So I agree with you that the idea of going through each individual health insurance line is beneficial. It is time consuming. And I love these meetings. I want you to know that. I will go through this 3 more times because I love this. I love this. But sometimes it's not good for us to do this blanketly. I think that in this instance, our intent, and I would hope that we could bring this back to the school board, the intent is we want it to mostly come from health insurance lines. Could the school board decide that they're going to take it all from teacher salaries? Yeah, they could.
If they don't.
They probably won't, you know?
It's against the law.
Well, I don't know. They could take it all from electricity and make everybody teach in the dark, right? You know, but they could just decide to like cut teachers, right?
Right,
Like, they could do that. But, so I'm okay with the idea of a blanket motion. If you want to go through it all bit by bit and through each individual health insurance line, I'll do that.
No, can I?
Yeah.
I think, and Joe, speak to this too if you want or need. I think I just want to put the intent out there that I think something is wrong with either the default or these insurance benefit numbers. But I want to put this trust, since we are making a significant cut, I want to put this trust in admin to do what they see fit, knowing what our priorities are for the students in the school.
Okay.
Yeah, just to add on that, I think that Jared works both ways, where like he also speaks to the school board on our behalf. So I think that he can help echo the intent of this motion in the robust discussion that we've had on it.
Yeah.
More discussion? Izzy?
Out of all the over collection to each year, how much of that was used to offset taxes at the end?
That was all of it. So that was a number that was asked of me to find. So all of that number had to do with reducing taxes.
Well, so all of that goes back into the general fund, right? But then maybe not all of that from the general fund goes back into offsetting taxes? Is that your question?
No, you're
the
confusing
numbers
town
I-
and school.
I gave-
School has to,
Take it back.
it's going back, it's school.
Reverse.
So every number I gave came from the DRA site, which the DRA uses to offset the taxes. So it was the offset tax amount was the dollar figures that I gave.
So I guess for me, I mean, I agree. I'm sorry, do we have a motion? I'm so muddled now.
Yeah.
We do have a
Reduce the
motion for
budget by
500. Okay,
500, Joan.
so I normally don't like blanket motions. I really don't like blanket motions, but I do see the value in this one, although I agree with you. I think it's the health insurance lines. I would not have gone along with 750 because we know that there isn't 750 left over in this line, or not left over, I hate to use that term, but by 500,000, we're still giving them some wiggle room if there are changes, and there certainly would be. Also, knowing what we're doing on the town side and how carefully we are going through and making these adjustments on actuals, I think that it's appropriate to do it on the school side as well. And I think we've tried to do it as we've gone, and you guys have produced a very good budget. It's these health insurance lines that I have concerns about. And I think Allison did pull the string on that sweater, and I think, yeah. So even though is not my view to endorse blanket motions, I would probably support this with the caveat that I would hope that they would be looking carefully at the school board would be looking at these health insurance lines.
And I think I want to correct, I think I did say admin, but I know school board is where this goes.
More comments? Jared?
Yeah, I just hope
Can I ask a question about that process?
Well, Jared was
Madam Chair?
just about speaking. Let Jared speak, and then you can go,
Sorry, I
Peter.
couldn't hear you. Okay.
I just hope that the administration can continue to find grants so that we can have this, unreserved fund balance. We know that grants are getting harder to find. They're not as robust as they were before, and that's where a lot of our offsetting for the taxes come from is we're able to get $50,000 for this grant. We're able to get $100,000 for this grant. And if we're not able to continue those, we're not going to have the quote-unquote unreserved fund balance to give back to offset taxes, and we'll end up being in a Claremont situation if this continues in years and years, where all of a sudden we are going to have significant services. And I understand this is 1 year. If we want to see how it goes and we'll figure out other years, that's fine. But a lot of this does come from the grants that we receive, and I know that we have an awesome team that looks for every grant that we can get, and we'll continue to do that as we continue to look at any budget that we have.
Peter, you're up.
Well, actually, now I have to ask Jared a question. Jared, are you saying there's an adverse effect regarding the school's ability to get grants if we make cuts to a budget that seem to be pretty logical? At least this one does.
I'll answer that if the chair allows me.
Go for it.
So is it a direct correlation, Peter? No. We look at our budget and we raise our taxes, or should I say the select board sets our tax rate based on what we need to cover our expenses. When we get grants, that's basically money that we've collected that we no longer need from the taxpayers, and we give it back to the taxpayers as part of our unreserved fund balance. So that's what occurs. In the situation with Claremont, they expected to get grants that they did not get, and that's why they had that negative budget default or budget balance that required them to cut severe services. And again, I'm not saying that we're going to get there, but that's how they got there. So that would be the answer that I have on that, Peter.
Gotcha. Thank you for the clarification. I think, honestly, I only hear good things from our board in terms of like what we see from the school. Relatively conservative on revenues. But I just think we've uncovered something here specifically. It's obviously, and I just want to make it clear to everyone at home that's listening, like no one here is talking about wanting to actually cut people's actual health insurance. We're just literally talking about potentially cutting based off of the actual money that's being spent year to year so that we don't have to over-collect and then send it back, so to speak, year after year. So I hope that that's very clear to folks.
Okay.
And that's all.
Brian, and then Laura, and then Doug. Sorry. Oh, and Izzy also had a, oh, sorry. Sorry. Okay. Brian, you go.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess one of my questions is, and I'm not sure if this is a really big effort or a simple effort, but I think probably a big effort. For those years, there was over collection from 22 to 25, where it could have been increased revenues or underspent. Is there any way to get more color or context behind that? So like, almost do like a discovery about, okay, was it one year, was it heavy on grants, you had increased revenues, the other year you had decreased expenditures? To me, because going back to Jared's point, is I like to make a reduction, but I like to understand more about the context of why there's overcollection those years. I don't think I have a good grasp on that.
Yeah, so one thing that everyone has access to, because we post it online once it's been published, is our audit. And towards the beginning of well, not towards the beginning, but in the audit, you will see both budget to actuals for revenue and expenditures, and then they will also break it down a little bit further. So it won't just be for, all revenues to all budgeted revenues to all all revenues. It will break down the revenues a little bit more. It won't break it down to the school and then paraprofessionals at schools type of thing. But in each of the audits, it's, you will see the same things that repeat in every audit. And that's one of them. And it will look at revenues and expenditures, budget to actuals.
Okay.
Laura?
Yeah, thank you. So I think kind of going off of that is I'm not sure whether it's grant, whether it's over collection, no matter what it is, that's still such a significant amount to give back. So even if we have people doing an amazing job getting grants, if it were like we're giving $500,000, if we're not spending $500,000 out of the budget this size, okay, but that still seems like a significant amount to be not using and having to return regardless of where it comes from. I do like the idea of knowing where, but I don't know how much that would change at least my thoughts as far as we're still overdoing it.
Okay.
Can I just, so if we look at that, it's a large number, 2.5 million. If we look at that as a percent, it's about 5%. Of a $50 million budget. So as we look at that percent-wise, I would agree. You might say, well, why can't we give back? Why do we have to kind of only spend 95% of our budget? But it does seem a little bit different than saying 2.5 million, because as soon as you get larger numbers, you want to use more of percents to have that understanding of it. And then the other thing is that we're budgeting out 18 months before we're fully finishing the budget. So we are talking right now in December, and we're not going to finish this budget that we're talking about this June. It's going to be the following June. But we start our budget actually in the summer. So if you're looking out at the admin out there, they start looking at their budget almost 2 years in advance of when it's going to be spent. So, kind of starting there with the people closest to the kids, and then kind of working our way through everything and then getting to the vote. We're still many months out, and then we're spending within 5%. So.
Okay. I will also say that generally, I'm also on the other side of this because I do a lot of budgeting at my work for a nonprofit. And if you budget at the end of the year, if you are under 3%, people are very, very nervous, and you are generally considered to have done a bad budget, that you've budgeted too closely, because you need to have a little bit left. So 5's a little high, 3 there's not that big of a floor. It's not that far of a jump. But Doug had a thing, and then we're going to go to Allison and then Olivia.
Yeah, just a question of understanding and clarification. Across the board budget, does that mean it has to be split evenly with all the line items, or is that up to the discretion of the
No,
school
it's up to
board?
the discretion of the school board.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Allison?
Do you have any idea what the grant number was for last year, for 2025? Grants received?
I can look into that and get that.
I was just curious on that 1 year.
Olivia?
Well, I haven't decided how I'll vote for this. I do find it somewhat concerning to consider cutting almost the majority of the new spending for the school district with this. It would only leave $86,922 of new spending, which it's confusing. I completely recognize that the health insurance lines are not adding up, but I think it also leaves the schools in a kind of questionable situation to cut that much out.
It would, just a correction, Olivia, it would leave $336,000 of new spending.
Right, but if we
Madam Chair,
cut 700.
can I chime
No,
in
we're
on
talking
that?
about 500.
5, okay, sorry about that.
500.
Even the 500, it's just, I mean, the high school typically doesn't have a 393,000 of new spending. It feels kind of questionable to me, but.
Peter?
I was just going to clarify, yeah, it would bring that down to like the 336, but that's specifically new spending over default. If we're thinking about the difference between the 26 budget and the 27 proposed, it's a difference of $1.5 million. So we want to be clear, we'd be taking a significant amount off. I'm just confident in doing it this way as the 500,000 because I think it shows in those health insurance lines that it would be appropriate to make that cut. I would have preferred if we just said across health insurance as opposed to across the entire budget, but I'm not sure what will work best, and I'm not sure if we'll have the support either.
Okay, Laura?
Yeah.
But I just want to clarify again, the total increase between 26 budget and 27 proposed is 1.5 million.
Is that before or after?
That's before we
That's
make any
before?
cuts.
Okay. Okay, Laura?
Yeah, so part of it, exactly what I was going to say is I'm actually not concerned too much about the new spending at all. I know that seems counterintuitive, but it's because I feel like there's an issue with the default. So going through, I didn't have much to say about any of the new spending. I think it's those other numbers that something's going on with.
Okay.
So to Allison's question, with grants last year, we brought in $1,451,191, and we spent $1,451,191.
And we still gave back.
So with grants, though, we do have some positions that are either fully in the grants, both their salary and their benefits, or partially in there. So if we were to receive less in grants, and yet these positions are still vital, then we would have to kind of make up the difference with the general fund as well. Now, as of right now, we're not necessarily, we don't have any information that we are going to receive less in grants. But that would be, since we do put positions within the grants fund, if we don't receive those grants, then, and we believe those positions are still vital for the school, then that money would come out of the general fund at that point.
And you're not budgeting for grants that you haven't received, or that you don't
We
know
are
that
not
you will be receiving?
Budgeting for more grants type. We're budgeting kind of for what's been consistent over years.
Right.
Yes.
Right, so if you have a new project and you've submitted a grant, you haven't heard back yet, you didn't
We're not
put
budgeting
the
for that.
that in as revenue?
That is correct.
Okay, that's good.
One of the other things, and it's just because it was mentioned, for having the unreserved fund balance and having the underspend, these are because we weren't able to fill positions. We didn't have buses for the middle school for their athletics, and that was, I think, a couple $100,000 just not having buses. So I understand what we're saying, and just understanding that when we underspend, it's because we have a good budget-minded individuals. But this is also because we weren't able to establish the services that we want to have for the schools as well, whether it's teachers, paras, busing for our athletics, or being not able to have those pieces so that parents have to pick up the slack, pick up their kids, bring them to school sports, things like that. And it changes every year. So I just want to have people cognizant of why we do have an underspend most of the time. It's not always the same thing all the time. It's always changing every year, and that's why we always have to focus on those things.
Okay. More discussion? Are we ready to vote? Okay, then let's start voting. I'm going to pick Laura to start this time.
Yes.
I'm going to vote yes.
I'm going to vote yes.
I'm going to vote yes.
It's me? No.
No.
Yes.
Abstain.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 120, 121, So we have 11 yes, 2 no, 1 abstention. Makes
Okay.
14. So that passes.
Are there any other motions related to the school budget? Any other things we want to discuss? We still have the outstanding SAU budget, which we will not know about until the 18th or the 17th, but we have a whole nother meeting set aside for the school, and we don't know about the contracts yet. Do you have a motion for
I do.
for these budgets?
Yeah, just because we've made a bottom line budget item, we can't figure out individual lines that we want to cut. I would like to make a motion to move this to public hearing that would occur, because I don't understand why we would continue to look at individual lines when we've cut the overall budget itself. So I'm going to make a motion to move to public session the budget that's been presented by the board.
I'll accept the
second
motion. Okay.
Hold on, so move, budget.
Jared's going to speak to it. Oh, I guess you just
Well,
did.
I kind of already did
You
on
did.
why I made the motion. I just think that we've gone through this line item by line item. We've been able to interrogate individual lines, but this budget committee felt that, hey, overall, we need to cut $500,000, which we did. Why would it make sense to continue to look at individual lines when we made a general statement and say, we know it's too high, we feel this is the number that we can accept and move to the voters? I don't want to bring in the administration again to continue to talk about this another day. That's why I would move it to public session or public hearing, where we can hear from the public their thoughts and then make any additional motions we want on the overall budget at that point.
Peter, you want to speak to your second?
Sorry, I just want to make sure. Can people hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm mostly agree with Jared. I just want to be specific, but even though we ended up choosing to go with the entire budget, I just, to our credit, this was for something generally specific that we decided to go with the cut for 500,000. We just opted not to make it as a specific cut. But yeah, I think we've already done the work. At this time, we should let the public chime in.
Just to clarify the motion, can you say it again for me?
This is to
public
move
hearing.
it to public hearing. So what would happen, Sam, is
Not public session.
No,
Public hearing.
Okay, cool.
The
All
Budget
right,
Committee
that's
public
all I
hearing.
need.
So I don't object to your motion, but I do object to your characterization of it. So, and I am going to say it on the record, I don't think it's fair to say, oh, you just made a blanket motion, so there's no point to any of this exercise. We did have specific lines, as Peter said, that we voiced concern about. We did go through this very carefully. The reason I would support your motion is because I am not prepared to make any further adjustments to this budget. I've gone as far as I'm going to go. My one concern about this, I don't like finalizing this budget before we've had the SAU budget before us. So, I mean, I guess I'd want to know, you're the chair of the SAU, are there anticipated changes coming in that budget line? Because it is, for me, a line-by-line thing. And I mean, it was very specific what we were talking about tonight. We just didn't want to go through and rattle off a bunch of different lines. I think we made our intentions clear. So if there's a big change coming in the SAU budget, I want to know about it.
I will make a commitment to you and this board that if there are changes, that will be the first thing I talk about and ask for revision of our budget at the public hearing.
Okay, well, I'm not sure I want to be used as the excuse to keep down the
No,
SAU
I meant
expenses.
you as in everybody else.
Well, even our own committee.
Madam Chair, we can always reconsider the motion at that time.
So can I clarify the SAU budget? So in the SAU budget, there is an increase right now. So it just hasn't been finalized at this point. So it's not holding the same budget as it is from last year. There's the expected increase, which we have proposed to the SAU.
That is in this budget.
That is in this budget.
So we are voting on the proposed increase already.
Yeah, you are voting on proposed increase already.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. Okay, so Laura, did you have a comment?
Yeah, and there's nothing we can do about the SAU budget anyway. The
No, but
only
we might need to
difference would
adjust
be-
this budget. If the
Accordingly.
SAU budget has something dramatic happen in it, we might need to adjust this budget. Otherwise, it becomes a cut in this budget that we may not agree with.
Yes, okay.
So, other comments? Okay. Then we will vote on Jared's motion. Jared, you can start us
Well,
off.
thank you, Madam Chair. I vote yes.
All right.
Yes.
Yes.
Abstain.
Yes.
Yes.
Wait, slow down.
We're all saying yes. So, Brian?
Yes.
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 Yes. Peter?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, one of us abstained, so it's 14 yeses and 1 abstention, 0 noes. So that passes.
Okay.
13 yeses.
So we are done. So that means we are meeting on Tuesday back in the media center to take up the town. We have one announcement from Mark on the town side.
We had our meeting last night, the Board of Selectmen at Town Hall, and the fire chief came forward to the board. He has somehow found money to buy the Tahoe. And the Tahoe will be bought out of monies that he has brought to us because we've been running short on staff, manpower, on all the other things like that. So just so that you guys know, we're going after the Tahoe.
Great. I believe there's a vacant position, right?
Yes,
That's
yes.
funding that
Yeah.
in particular. There was a specific thing that he was able to transfer
Did
over.
we already take out the Tahoe?
No, we had just talked about it. So that's great. Brian, are you going to make a motion to adjourn before I make my announcements?
Question for Doug, if I
Okay,
could.
that is fine.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So based upon the one reduction, could we get a revised percentage increase over default?
So right now, default is 1.26% up from the operating budget, and from last year's, the current year, I'm sorry, and the operating budget is up 1.87%.
Okay, so next Tuesday, we are meeting in the media center. We are going to take up the town budget again, which we've already done the line by line. We're going to be talking about some other big adjustments to get that where we want it. Thursday, we have a scheduled meeting. Okay, we still will need it, but we're actually talking about the only outstanding issue is contracts.
I imagine there will probably be 2 warrant articles that are going to be brought to the school board that will be discussed there and then move to the budget hearing.
Okay, so we are actually going to do warrant articles on our January 6th meeting.
One of them is going to be the teacher. We have one of them will most likely be the GEA contract.
Okay, so that's fine, but I think we're going to do all the warrant articles on the 6th.
Okay.
On January 6th, right? There isn't any reason that it shouldn't violate
Is your
any law.
prerogative.
Okay, we're still going to tentatively hold that December 18th date, though, because if the town takes longer, we're going to go on December 18th. But we'll see. So that's definitely next Tuesday, maybe Thursday. Then we have a meeting again January 6th, at which we will consider all of the warrant articles. We are also starting the town meeting on Tuesday with water precincts and sewer. We're going to do you guys first. Won't matter to you, because you're going to be in for the long haul, but it'll matter to the other representatives of those.
Is our meeting Thursday?
Maybe one of the Grassmere members can stay and be a member of this committee.
Wouldn't that be refreshing? So we do tentatively have a meeting scheduled for Thursday, but we might not use it. So we're
Thursday,
gonna-
2 days from now.
Oh, not
This
this Thursday,
Thursday, we're not
no,
meeting.
I'm sorry.
Are we
There's-
meeting 2 days from now?
No.
Okay.
The next meeting is next Tuesday, the 16th. Then we have a tentative meeting on the 18th. Then we have January 6th. Public hearing is January 15th. So, is there any other business to come before the committee? Okay. Take it away, Brian.
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second? Second, all right. We got to do a roll call, because that's the way it works. So, Olivia, you start the roll call.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Should I say no? Yes.
Peter?
Peter.
Did someone abstain?
No, just say yes. Come on. You're already outvoted
Yes.
if you say no. So, okay. All
Good
right,
night,
so we are
everybody.
adjourned.
Good night.